Hello, this is wmpyr. For today, I have an interesting story to share with you guys. Yeah, before I get into that, let me just say happy holidays. Hope you guys are having a good one. And um, let me get right into it. First of all, this is based on a true story. All right, it's based on a true story, and it bothers me. And I feel like this would be something good to talk about to help the martial arts community. And yeah, so the bottom line is, especially in recent years, I've been really trying to focus on citing my sources, and I try to tell you guys to do the same. Um, if you're just taking notes for your own personal study of martial arts, or if you're an instructor and you're trying to teach, cite your sources, okay? And it could be as simple as you know this is what I do. I say it in my videos where I go, this is from, I saw a video from the Dog Brothers, and they talk about this. Or I saw Professor Bram Frank on Instagram, and he said this. Or this is on YouTube. Professor Danny Nosanto showed this form. So I try to cite my sources like that. And the stuff that I made up, I'll tell you guys, no problem. Just be honest about it. It's like, this is something I made. This is something that I developed, or this is a word that I just made up to make my study easier, to make it more clear to understand. So I just made up this term. Just be honest. This is very, very, very important. And the reason is, okay, let me get into the story. Okay, imagine this guy. He makes up his own style, which I know a lot of people are interested, especially on YouTube. There's a video that I made about how to make your own style kind of thing, and I know that has gotten a decent amount of views. So people are interested in that, okay, how to properly do it. And this is definitely, citing your sources is super, super important and critical, especially for something like this. Now, in a world today where everybody cross-trains, so maybe not necessarily you're trying to make your own style, but you're cross-training. Once again, very important to cite your sources for many reasons, okay? But all right, so this dude, he made up his own style. Let's say it's the T-Rex style, the Tyrannosaurus Rex style, okay? Because, you got Tiger Claw, you got Eagle Claw, you got, Dragon Claw or Dragon's Fist, or whatever. You have all these different styles, animal styles from Kung Fu, and this guy was like, what's the ultimate animal? T-Rex, Tyrannosaurus Rex. And he's like, yeah, you're not going to beat that. It was, apex predator at one point, one of the most ferocious predators ever on planet Earth, T-Rex style. Okay, so he creates this style, and he does research on it, right? So he talks to like paleontologists and whatnot, and researches about like how the T-Rex is actually fought and hunted, and blah, 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 right? But then like he mixes that with Silat. Why Silat? Because in Silat they used a karambit, which is a curved claw, but they primarily, or is famous for using it in the reverse grip. So this guy's like, no, we're gonna use the same Silat stuff, but now in the standard grip. So we're holding the karambit in the standard or forwards grip, right? The claw's facing this way, and he has his stance like this, more like a T-Rex, and he's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, the T-Rex style. But like close to 50% of the material is from Silat, right? And of course, when he comes up with this new fantastic style, the T-Rex style, everyone's like interested and people want to know about it. And they're like, wow, what's up with this style? The most ferocious predator style is now, you could use it for self-defense. People are going to get interested, right? And this guy is going to get asked, like, where'd you get the info from? How did you develop it? And of course, that's normal. People are going to be curious. What's your background, right? And this and that. Like, wait a minute, you are a Silat teacher, okay? And you're using a karambit. All right. Well then, how much of this is actual T-Rex, the research that you did, and how much of this is CLOT. He's going to get asked this kind of stuff, right? So you just filled in the blanks with CLOT. Is that what you did? And this instructor is going to get angry, and he's going to start getting defensive and say stuff like, look, at the end of the day, there's only so many ways that a person can move their body. There's only so many techniques that you can have because humans do think alike. So he starts getting defensive and saying stuff like that, brings out one of those excuses, and then starts getting condescending towards the person that's asking, or the nice interviewer, and starts saying stuff like, you know, once again, biomechanics stay the same no matter what style because the human body is the same, 2 arms, 2 legs. You understand? So he starts talking to you condescending like that, because he's insecure. Why is he insecure? Because, he did combine it with CLOT. That is the truth. And then eventually he admits it. He's like, yeah, of course I combine it with CLOT because that's my background, and you can't separate my background from the way that I think. I mean, that is part of me, and I mix it because that's who I am, and I'm contributing to the martial arts community that way. Because if you completely be a robot and you do the exact same thing, like from one style, and then you do the exact same thing and that's what you teach, then you're not contributing anything, was what this guy said, right? And at this point, I'm like, what? No, what are you talking about? Because when we have traditional martial arts, and I've said this to you guys before, is that is the purpose of traditional martial arts, is you're making a tradition. How? From passing from one generation to the next. In other words, you are a scribe, you are a librarian, and so you copy one book, you copy it exactly as possible. Back in the old days, they didn't have a copy machine, so they had to do it by hand. And the monks would do that. They would copy it, and now here's volume 2, or the same book, another copy of the same book. That's what they would do. And imagine if that monk took liberties and decided to add, this part's kind of boring, so I'm going to change it up. Now we have a different book, We don't want that. Imagine they did that with a dictionary. They go, nobody looks at the Z section, so let's make the Z section a lot more useful. So we're going to just put in words from popular culture, from movies, from science fiction stuff, and we're going to do it that way. Then yeah, it will get the Z section, and that dictionary may get a lot more usage, but as far as from the previous year, it's going to be totally different, and it's a totally different book, and it's not a revised, updated version. Now it's like a completely new type of book with a new purpose, and now we don't know what the legit words are and stuff like that, and it's just now popular stuff put in. It changes everything, so you can't do that. You don't want to do that. If you're claiming historical, right, then you got to stick as close as possible to the source and not change it. You have to keep it pure, right? And I'm not saying that's the best thing. I'm saying that that's different from, let's say, someone who wants to be a fighter and test out the system and make it work for them, and then they go, oh, you know what, this is missing grappling, so I'm going to go train in wrestling and BJJ, and they add stuff to it. That's different, right? Because that's their own journey now, and they're trying to become a complete fighter. That's totally different. But as far as getting the traditional style the way it was and keeping it pure and passing it on to the next and the next, you need it to be accurate, and you cannot put in your own stuff in there. And that's why when I teach Eskrima, I teach 2 versions, and I'll tell my student that, I say I teach a traditional version, and then I teach my own version, and I try as much as possible to keep them separate. How do I keep them separate? I keep them separate by telling them, okay, this is my stuff. This is from back when I learned it in the 90s or whatever, and that's the traditional material. I will make it clear like that and say that. I could probably make it even more black and white clear by going, the first 3 months is only going to be traditional, the next 3 months will be my stuff. I don't do that. It's just very difficult for me because I've mixed it in so much, but I try my best as possible to cite my sources. That helps keep it separate and keep it separate like that. I really do. Okay, so this is from a Russian health system for our warm-up, where this is not Filipino warm-up. Okay, so this part is Filipino martial arts warm-up. I'll try to keep it, once again, as separate as possible, because I believe it's important. Because if the student goes, that part was interesting, I really like that, I want to go research that, they'll know where to go. So that's just one of the reasons why you want to keep it separate like that. And let's face it, okay, so why did this guy put in silat in there? And I think it's, the bottom line is this person did the research on the T-Rex stuff. Okay, I believe that they did, right? They did the research, and they flat out, at the end of the day, it's not enough material for whatever reason, okay? All the stuff that they found is just not enough compared to your typical style, whether it's Taekwondo or Tang Sudo or Aikido or 52 blocks or whatever other style that's out there. It just wasn't enough material. So once again, fill in the blanks with silat or other styles. Okay, that's fine, but they did that. Why? Because so now they could put it in a package and market it as T-Rex style. And they don't say anything about silat. They just go silat. They don't mention silat, and they say this is the T-Rex style. They market it that way, and it's for marketing, selling, and getting credit. Going, I am the first to do this dinosaur style stuff. So it's ego. It's ego, and it's marketing. It's commercialism. It's all the things that I believe, if you do martial arts properly, it's against all that. Yes, we need to make a living. Yes, we need to put food on the table. I'm in the same boat, but to go to that extent, to me now, you are being dishonest, right? I believe you're being dishonest. So I think you need to come clean. And I'm not saying that this person hid this because they came out and they said it. They're like, of course I did that. Like they got mad about it. And I'm just saying that the reason is probably, because of the marketing and the commercialism and whatever, and they got called out on it and they're mad about it. If someone said to me, oh, your Eskrima is not pure, I'm not mad because yes. There is a portion, like I said, I teach two different versions, the traditional, but I also teach my version. And the reason why I teach it is not because I want it to be a franchise and I want everyone to be wearing wmpyr t-shirts, wmpyr Eskrima is the best. No, I don't believe in that. To me, that is a cult, and I hate cults. Okay, so I'm not interested in that. Okay, if you learn my style of Eskrima, not the traditional, I'll teach the traditional, but also my wmpyr style, and you learn the wmpyr style. Okay, so you're doing the Heaven Six the way that I've said that it was inspired by my capoeira instructor. So you're now doing it, the Heaven Six differently, very tight up here, like so, where the hand's here instead of here. You're doing it like that and all that. That's all great. That's all great. But remember, the way it was taught to me is that there's a traditional version and there's a modern version. Modern means you make it your own. Therefore, it ends with one generation. There is no second, third, fourth, fifth generation student of mine, because it should end. If they do it properly, they learn my stuff and then they make it their own. So it ends right there. And then they teach somebody else, and it, they can go, well, this is what I learned from wmpyr, but then that person too, well, now if they do it properly long enough, they make it fit them. So once again, it ends right there. So there is no chapter houses. It's not like a church, where we're building, these, these different organizations and affiliations. No, okay. I don't do that, right? I'm not cool with that. Um, and it's sad because as martial artists, we're taught that is the way to be successful. We're taught that. And I don't mean to be ranting and I don't mean to make this very negative, but to me, this is my biggest Christmas present to you guys, is to show you, to me, this is the proper path of martial arts and still somehow, be able to make a living with martial arts. And I'm not saying that I am that one of those people, because definitely, for me, I have opened schools before a couple of times and I've had to close it down because it wasn't making the money to be able to pay off the rent. And there were in some cases where I had a very good deal where I was with like a rec center and I didn't have rent to pay. And it was just, if the students came in, they would take a percentage of that, of course, but all that was on them. And then I would just get the percentage from the student, but it just wasn't enough. And in order to make that, I would have to teach like a bunch of children and stuff like that. And it just wasn't what I was looking for, I didn't want to turn into the daycare center. And look, nothing wrong with the martial artists that have to do that. Like I said, I understand you gotta make a living. You got to put food on the table. And also the martial arts instructors, that if you are teaching, you're making money that way, but then at the other times where you are not teaching, you're letting other martial arts instructors come into your school, you charge them, and they could use the place, kind of like the way a barber shop would, a lot of these barber places would work, the haircut salons and stuff of today. Um, hey, I'm not against any of those things. Okay, I think that's fine. But to go, I'm gonna take over the martial arts world, and I want my brand everywhere. Uh, no, I'm not in for that kind of monopoly. I'm not in that rat race, thank goodness, and I don't want to be in that politics either. Those all of those things rub me the wrong way. So if you do create your own style, and if it's like a revival of a certain long lost style, and you have that info and you want to make it available to people, but you're going to charge people for it, that's fine. Just be honest and cite your sources. And if it is mixed in with other styles or your own experience, then freaking say that. Don't advertise it as this is 100% T-Rex style, when really it's 40% T-Rex style, 60% other styles, other common styles. you know don't don't do that. So I think the most important thing is be honest, cite your sources, and if you take that humble approach, then I don't see how in the formula it would be like to dominate the martial arts world and make it to where everybody's practicing my style, my brand. That to me is disgusting. You're like the Hitler of the martial arts world. We don't need that, really. Martial arts gets enough bad reps, so I'm here trying to take it in a better direction and try to help people. If you do like martial arts, let's go in a positive direction. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing. Happy holidays and take care, folks.